What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Big Thing, Capes and Cowls. Yep, we're all in studio, everybody. And we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, non-spoiler. There will be no spoilers at all in this one. I'll talk about what I can with The Flash. Again, that's still under a lot of embargo. Just social embargo is up. That's about it. I'll give basically my thoughts, what happened there. Green Lantern. There's this comic book movie list that we like to go over, the potential casting for John Stewart that we're going to get into, see if we agree, disagree with their potential list. James Gunn had some comments. There's some stuff with Aquaman going on. That and more on today's show. So we hope that you're going to be excited the way we're excited about it in general, because the whole crew is going to be here. And speaking about the whole crew being there, man, oh man, please tell me you're going to be there tonight if you're able to. If you're like, I live in Burbank, but I don't know if I'm going to get a ticket, shame on you. Because this is going to be an amazing, amazing show. We're going to have so much fun. We were just talking about throwing bits back and forth about what's happening. Jandreau hosting the stand-up portion of the show. Winston A. Marshall, Brett Sheridan, Kate Mulligan, myself are going to be on the stand-up portion. And then Steph, Mike, Roxy are going to be joining the Big Thing crew. We'll be doing a live show tonight. But don't fret. Yep, I said fret. And don't you fret. If you, I wanted to see this show. TheChristianHarloff.com. Get yourself a live stream ticket. If you don't, shame on you. All right, let's get into it, everybody. It's Capes and Cowls. I'm ready. You're ready. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Capes and Cowls. It's Big Thing. It's me. It's Coy.
So excited.
Yeah, Crutches McGillicuddy is here.
What's up, Crutches?
We are back, everybody. It's the Capes and Cowls crew. We are back in town. And man, we are fresh off of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And in the non-spoiler review, as we do know that the non-spoiler embargo has lifted. I have a review up on my channel that went up this morning.
Me too.
Nice, good for you.
I have a short.
You're average height.
Yeah, I'm just.
Christian,
yeah.
the funniest thing in the world is us trying to get into your gate today.
Oh,
because I can't
you
stand
can't do
and
it.
he can't reach.
So I got to.
So-
Please tell me you tried to hoist him up, but you can't really.
I kind of spotted him, and
He
like
had
it
to
was a
spot me
jerk.
because I had to like kind of lean and reach.
Is that why the cops were here?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
yeah,
They
yeah.
were like, "Hey, it looks like that crippled black dude and that random."
Why is
leprechaun.
Conor McGregor helping out Rasheed Wallace? And why are they trying to break into Dane Cook's house?
They're trying to
gotten
break into
dark
that
for
nice
Dane
white
Cook.
Dane
Yeah.
Cook's house. Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. Anyway,
That's the show tonight, folks.
yeah, we're back. We're back. See, exactly. You're gonna see. I mean, that's what I love about tonight's show. People were wondering how it's gonna work because Brett was inaccurately telling them wrong information. He's like, because we did it for an after party that we had. That we'll do more after parties for people who don't know on TheChristianHarloff.com. What we did during that Zoom period was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put Winston on with Steph and Mike because he doesn't really ever talk Star Wars with us. And then I'm going to take Coy and put him on the Big Thing. And that's fun for after party, and we'll be doing that for after party even live. But for the live show in person, I want people to see the shows that they know, and I want people to
You know
see
what they pay for? Like you expect this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you that they wouldn't want to see that mix and matching, but that's exclusive for like the after party stuff. If I'm going, you know what? I watched the Big Thing, but I really love Capes and Cowls. Well, you're going to see me, Winston, and Coy tonight on stage for like a good 15, 20 minutes, and you're going to see me and Steph and Mike on stage for a good 15, 20 minutes, and you're going to see me and Roxy and Brett and Kate on stage for a good 15, 20 minutes.
I mean, in the way that, like, you know, when you go and see a Marvel movie, we're about to talk about Guardians, I mean, you don't go for the post-credit scene. You go for the movie.
Right.
The post-credit scene is a little added bonus. So
Yeah,
you're gonna
nobody was complaining about it. Nobody's complaining about it.
No,
at all.
for sure.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, like, because I don't think people were clear on it or knew what it was.
Yeah.
And then obviously starting with the stand-up portion of it and leading into it, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for people to see it. So check us out tonight. All right, last night we all got a chance to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Winston and I saw it at a separate screening. Coy went to the premiere. And
I'm Coy. I know everyone. I have 2 working legs.
I said no, thank you. No.
We all have different approaches to this town. We all go to this town differently, and how we.
I want to thank you for something.
Yes.
Talking over when he said I have white privilege.
I just was trying to make sure that I was the one. There's no surviving this. There's just no.
The funny thing is like I'm clearly joking.
But there's 10% of the internet doesn't
about stuff like that. But I guarantee you, someone's gonna flip me. Of course, he's gonna pretend.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
It's already been clipped.
No. What I hope the majority of people who tune in is like, thank God they're all back together.
Yeah, this is what I wanted.
Well, I saw that. I mean, I saw that about us when we're not in studio together. Is we still have the chemistry and stuff too. But it's just something. And again, bringing it up tonight, there's just something about being in person and talking in person and having that kind of back and forth. And I'll tell you, man, like, look, you guys know when it comes to Guardians, that I have like the first movie. You guys always put the Guardian. I think you both put like Guardians 1 in like your top 10. I've never put it in there for me. I've always liked the first one. I've always thought the first one was handled really well. I think it was done masterfully in bringing in a property no one knew and turning them into household names now. I think it was done very well, and they progressed in each thing that they were in. But it was never, for me, it was always, whether it was Iron Man or Winter Soldier or your Captain America, or the classics were the ones that I always responded to, and even the movies themselves. Like, this movie, the third movie, not only do I think is my favorite out of the three, I have to see it again because of recency bias. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies that I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah,
it is. I yesterday said that it's the best since No Way Home. I think it's the best since Endgame.
Wow.
I think that I love No Way Home. I love No Way Home. This movie, you know what the number one word is for me in this movie, and then I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Focus. The movie had focus. It didn't rely on multiverse stuff. It didn't rely on all this stuff. Again, there's going to be no spoilers. I'm just telling you, like, it was a very focused Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's wrap this up. Let's go home. And I think they did it brilliantly. But I haven't really talked to you guys. I saw your social media reactions. But Winston, let's start with you, man. What did you think?
I thought it was incredible. I thought this has officially become my favorite. Coy said something similar. My favorite trilogy of the MCU. I think it's just too well rounded because, like, I think about Captain America, and while Winter Soldier was like fluctuating between my top 1 and top 3 movies of the MCU, the other two, while I really love Civil War, it didn't. There's ones that beat it out, and then First Avenger is a good movie, but it can chill. I don't really care. All 3 of these movies I love, and this one, I always feel it's so hard to stick the landing.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing to do is not necessarily the opening one, because if you got enough to make a trilogy, you clearly did a good job. And then the second one, yeah, you kind of got to get back in the mix, but sticking the landing and be like, we're done with this now. This is it. And wrapping it all up in a bow and feel like you went on a journey with these characters and they've gone through their character arcs. This was a masterclass. It honestly was.
It was, because Coy, I think what it did very well with my biggest gripe and you guys know I've come around more so on Volume 2, but my biggest gripe that I still have with Volume 2 is I think that James Gunn came up with a lot of great jokes, and they're jokes that majority of the time land. My problem with it is that he's like, I have a joke right now, but someone just did a joke, so that person's going to have a joke, and now that person's going to have a joke, and then that person's going to have a joke, and there's a lot. It's way more balanced in comedy. When the emotion hits, it hits.
Yes.
But it's way more balanced in comedy, overbalanced in comedy than it is with emotion. This, Coy, to me, is the perfect balance, because when the humor hits, it's supposed to.
Right.
And not all the jokes work, but that's okay. And it's subjective. And then the emotion behind it, you see in the trailer with the backstory with Rocket and how they explore that, and the family aspect of it, how the Guardians have evolved in general. And I know you've always been a fan, but I am a massive fan, especially after this movie, and how much I've come around since movie 1 is Nebula.
I think this, I'm not saying it's my favorite Marvel film, my favorite MCU film, but I think this, I love your word focus, is the most finely tuned Marvel film. And I think Winter Soldier's right there nipping at its heels, but there is this incredible sense of awe that takes you on for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and that awe is punctuated like beautiful grammar with heightened joy or heightened trauma. And so you're experiencing this incredible amoeba of emotion where you're just like fluctuating, and it's traumatic, but I left so bereft and so happy. And I think that is so unique. And I go to art to experience emotion. And this is the magic of a quality movie. I'm not even saying quality Marvel movie. A quality movie, you leave changed.
Yeah.
And this entire experience, I started crying 20 minutes in, and it was like I broke the seal at a bar. I kept peeing out of my eyes. I cried throughout this movie.
Well, Winston, that was the thing, man. Like the emotion in this, as I said, with the balance of it all, was really special because it wasn't like they were trying to make you cry. It was because it all made sense, and everybody had something to do.
Yes,
that's what it was. So
genius.
yeah, everybody had something to do, and it's like I look at it like where I've always, and I still feel this way, that television gives you an opportunity to really explore, if you use it well over the course of 7 or 8 episodes, to dive deep into a story. Now, again, there are a lot of things I liked about The Mandalorian this season, but one of my biggest gripes was that the episodes were too short. They didn't spend enough time developing anybody, and they kind of wasted the opportunity in television to do that. This movie, at 2 hours and 20 minutes, did the exact opposite. They were able to have a big spectacle, and they were able to, emotion.
But I got to that point. I think that lends itself to the fact that we've seen them in 2 of their own individual movies.
That's right.
2 Avengers movies
they've been
and a
built
Thor
before.
movie.
That's right. It's not brand new.
And a holiday special. So you had enough. Literally, this is Act 3. So we're rounding everything out here. I just love the fact that this really, if you're trying to figure out who the main character of this movie is, the main character of this movie 1,000% is Rocket.
Yeah.
I think the first one, even though obviously Star-Lord, all that kind of stuff, I think the first one, the main character is more Gamora, if I think about it. I think the second one is definitely Star-Lord because of his relationship with his father and sorting all that. And I think this one is Rocket, and it was so interesting to figure that out because, well, all the characters needed to evolve, all the characters needed to go on said arc. Those 3 seemed to be the 3 that were the most lost.
Yeah.
Gamora being lost in the fact that, like, being the daughter of Thanos and how she has issues with him and issues with her sister.
Yeah, sure.
Star-Lord, like, who is my family? And then Rocket, who has rejected the world, and we get to see why in this movie, and how that all comes to fruition. I just thought that this was just so beautifully done.
I agree with you. I think that the thing is, the only pushback I do, maybe just a little, is that I think it is Rocket's story. And I do think the Guardians are the stars of this movie in general, like the main the main characters of the movie. Because without giving spoilers, but I think the main story is right. You see what I'm saying?
I'll put it to you this way: the way that Infinity War, while being called Avengers: Infinity War, is a Thanos movie. This is so while the people we're following are the Avengers, the main character was Thanos. It's kind of the same thing here. While the people we're following are the Guardians.
The story is about Rocket. Yeah.
In speaking of Thanos, I do want to give some flowers to, I think, one of the best comic book villains.
Thank you.
Because
I was going to say that. Yeah.
I was so impressed that this is easily my favorite Guardian villain, but what he's able to do in being captivating and menacing and big and contained and so hateable and so comic-y. I think this is maybe the most comic book movie that lands. Sometimes you make something too comic booky and it doesn't work. Sometimes you try to make it too self-serving and too isolated. It doesn't work. This is somehow vibrant and big, and the villain is very much a comic book villain. But since you're so invested in these characters because you've had them in 6 movies, I'm counting Infinity War and Endgame there. You really, I'm not counting Love and Thunder. You really have the ability to have the villain do a lot, but you're so invested in your leads that he's able to balance that. I love his idea. Yeah. I love the way he goes about what his plot is. I love the way they use him in ways that are so heart-wrenching that the trauma of the movie is just like exponentially increased.
Was it just you, or were you sitting here as the High Evolutionary was doing his thing, that I was out here being like, man, I wonder how Pete is going to respond to this movie? Because, like, it is brutal.
Yeah.
What happened? I'm glad that, again, I'm not going to get into what happens because it's non-spoiler, but like Rocket really is an experiment, and it's about how the High Evolution. It is, and that's the same thing with High Evolutionary. If you know the character, he rips people apart because he feels like he's the one that can make the perfect universe.
Well, so and again, I think that Coy probably avoided it because I'm messing up the pronunciation as well. But
I said he.
Yeah, Chukwudi Iwuji, which look. People are going to tell us how to pronounce it, and you should, because after this movie, and by the time we get to spoilers, we won't be ever again. He is fantastic in this movie. He's really good. I only had one issue with the character, and I think, and I said as much in my non-spoiler review, and I don't think it's his fault. I think that it is a James Gunn note, and I think James Gunn did a masterful job directing this. he screams too much. He screams too much. And I know he's angry.
Yeah.
But there's a time where he's like, he is so menacing when he's not screaming.
Yeah.
He is so, just the way he just articulates his point of the thing he's getting across and the way that he does it. And then there's a certain time it's like, I predicted it at one point. I'm like, here, oh, he's going to yell again. And he yelled, and I'm like, you didn't need to. He didn't need to.
I get what you're saying. I think why I was...
Didn't hurt at all, though.
No. I feel you. I think why it didn't bother me is only because it's very clear that he was already insane.
He's insane.
But the minute... no surprise that Rocket obviously is not in his possession anymore. He's been rolling with the Guardians for 5
again, not
movies.
spoilers.
It's not a spoiler. But either way... he's losing his mind.
Right.
He went from somebody who was already insane to literally now his ego's gone so unchecked.
Right.
I understand why every time he feels like he's being slighted.
It goes to a different level. I understand. I understand that it's such a minor gripe. I gave this movie a 4.8 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.9. He's not my beef.
No, he's not. Warlord.
I think
Warlock.
Adam Warlock. That was my problem.
I think we're all pretty close on this one. This is the first time I think I'm between a 4.8 and 4.9 as well, and I think we're all on the same page of glory.
Warlock, to me, I think that Will Poulter did a good job.
Mm-hmm. What he was told to do, it was just so off.
That's exactly right. For what he was told to do, and I remember again the late great John Schnepp telling me about Warlock and how who's cast as him, who's he going to be? Oh my God, I can't wait to see him. So I was so hyped by it, and he's just kind of there in the background. He doesn't really have much to do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't read a whole lot of Adam Warlock stories. I mainly read the ones with like the Infinity Gauntlet and stuff like that. So he's not that stupid and that goofy. And I felt like there was this idea of trying to force him to fit the parameters of the Guardians, but where that doesn't work for me is Gamora is never stupid, and neither is Nebula. They might have their flaws, but like they can be the smart ones in the room and still deal and act like a-holes. To have him play
the tone of the character was off for you.
So on the spoiler talk, I'm excited to dive into that. But like the actual comic things, because things worked and things didn't. But I definitely want to tread lightly on his character. But one of the interesting things that happened last night was I shameless name drop talking to Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin and I were talking about the character because he wrote a lot of the best stuff with Warlock. So who else would you rather find out what their take is? He was saying that at first it bothered him, and then something shifted, and that's what I'm excited to talk about, because I do understand that gripe, and I do think that will be a lot of people's problem, but I do think there's a shift that happens that without comic knowledge you might not feel, and I think that's an element I'm excited to dive into in spoilers, but I don't disagree from this is the movie, and you shouldn't have to have read comics to get the movie.
Right.
So I don't disagree, but I do think there is an element that does work when you know the character.
It does seem like that kind of gripe is the biggest one with Warlock. Oh, wait, is someone on the phone?
Hey, bitch.
Me?
No, not you.
Who?
Man, that guy who's name dropping all the damn time.
Hey, Big Balls, how did you even get in here?
Man, I've been sitting watching you guys, listening underneath the table, you bitch-ass trick.
Hey, stop that.
You stop it. Oh, let me guess. Coy, you ain't up, you talking. Hey, James Gunn, who's directing Brave and Bold and all that kind of stuff. Oh, James Gunn. James Gunn don't know who you are, you Conor McGregor dollar store mother.
Hey.
He gave me the job. I'm directing Batman Brave and the Bold. All I had to do was ask.
I was really afraid that this Big Balls dude was going to drop an M-bomb, and I was going to have to dive under the table.
He's gone. He eats what's going on here, and then he takes off. Stupid squirrel. Sorry, Coy.
I accept.
He's really just a scumbag. Anyway, so we had an opportunity. We saw that movie. That was the non-spoiler of it all, and I think we want to tread lightly on anything else too, but It's good, man. It's really good. And I think the length of the movie, 220 or whatever it is, it doesn't feel it. And if you are able to, see it in IMAX. I don't know
but not in the handicap row. Oh my god.
Sure, that was tough. It's shot in IMAX. It feels like it works. I took my daughter with me, and she was just, her eyes as she's watching this whole thing happen, and it was just, it's beautifully shot. There's a great, and again, not spoiling, there's a great music sequence with a song that I think is overused in movies,
but plays better than others.
Really, really well, and you'll know it when you hear it.
It actually redeemed that song for me.
Yeah.
Like, I love the song, but in movies, I'm like,
it was just used in a song in a movie like 2 weeks ago that I saw. But anyway,
what?
Yeah, we'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah.
But let's we'll switch over to some sponsors here. Let me tell you a little bit about both Athletic Greens and BetterHelp, our sponsors today. Athletic Greens is the best. AG1, man. we are very excited to be talking about our next partner here. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens every day. I've been talking about them for months. It's coming up on years at this point. For me, I take it in the morning as the day's getting going. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. Done. It gives me good energy. I've been talking about it forever. Brett loves it. Katie Sackhoff loves it. Why? Because it just makes it simple. You just I'm not a big, vitamins guy. I like one shot, done. For me, it helps energy, sleep quality, and I just never understood, why would you take a bunch of different things? You can just take one scoop of powder in water once a day, and you're good. It's a good life hack. It's really great. That's why I love and I trust AG1 by Athletic Greens, and so many of you guys do too now, since hearing about it on this show. It gets delivered to you once a month. Very easy to make it a daily habit. I get the travel packs when I go on the road, when I'm doing the Comic-Cons and things. It's so easy. You just take care of your body each day, and it's that simple. So if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/bigthing. athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Check it out. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. You guys know how I have been talking about BetterHelp, how it has helped people on this show, how it has helped a lot of you. And now we can tell you more once again about BetterHelp, because getting to know yourself, it can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and we're always changing. How I was, 2 years ago, significantly different to how I am today, because you're always learning. That's why you're saying to yourself later on, oh man, if I would have just done that back in the... Hindsight's 20/20. But if you can do things to help yourself, then why not do it? And therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes you don't always know what you want. And you don't always know why you react the way you do until you talk through things. And this is what I love about BetterHelp. It connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. So I've talked about this. You guys know about this. Roxy reached out to BetterHelp. She's been thriving since she's been talking to BetterHelp. I talk to her about it all the time, and she loves it. She loves the therapist that they matched her with. And it's so amazing as a friend, as someone who cares about Roxy deeply, to see that. And I want you guys to have the same experience. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's online. It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Go and visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing. And when you do, you get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/bigthing. All right, thanks again to our sponsors, BetterHelp and Athletic Greens. Always excited to tell you guys about people that we believe in, that have been working for our listeners, and we really hope that you support the show, support yourselves, and let us know when you do, because when you do, that's how it's like, well, you know what, I can't be a member on the website, but I can check out one of your sponsors. What do you think? What do you think? Go in there, check it out, see what you like, and let us know when you do. All right. I will say, what's funny is let's switch about the other big topic, and that was moving around a lot in the comic book space, movie-wise, and that was The Flash, right? So I wasn't planning on going to CinemaCon. Like, at one point, I got approved for the press. I'd asked Winston to come with me. Corey was going to try to come, and it just didn't work out for us. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Plus, we had this live show coming up. Mm-hmm. We had the Guardians thing. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do freaking Sunday night and come back Thursday. I just don't know. Plus, I don't want to sleep on my couch. And my wife is not happy about me going as much as I am. So I was like, is it worth it? Then they said, we're screening on The Flash on Tuesday. And I said to myself, can I realistically get myself to Vegas for the night and fly back the same night? Yeah. I was going to do that. Couldn't necessarily do that, but I found like a really cheap room at Planet Hollywood. And I had a flight credit that I had on United. So even though it was in the morning, it was a delayed flight, which it wasn't that bad. It was like an hour and a half delay, but it only.
What time was the screening?
Well, the screening wasn't until like 4:35 o'clock.
So you were okay.
I just thought that I'd be able to.
Nervous.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be able to get there to see the Warner Brothers panel, which started at like 9:30 because my flight was 8:15. I would have gotten into Vegas 9:30. Zaslav was, talking steam out of his mouth for wherever he was for the beginning of it, and they didn't start showing the presentation stuff I would, if I got there in time, I would have been able to make the whole thing. But it was delayed, so I didn't. And it was like, okay. So I get to, so stupid. I get to the freaking place, and they said in the email, there's a convention center for Caesar's Palace, which is right past the actual Caesar's Palace. So I go there and I go, where's this room that they need, that I'm looking, whatever the name of the room was. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like CinemaCon. He's like, oh, CinemaCon. I'm like, how does this guy not know? I'm like, that's bad news if he doesn't know the CinemaCon. So then I ask another guy, no clue. I was like, what the hell's going on? So then, stupid ass me, I had a radio interview that was scheduled, and the phone rings. I think it's the press people, and they're like, hey, we're waiting for you. And I'm like, oh my God, moron myself. I'm like, I booked it. So I'm sitting outside Caesars now on the phone doing an interview with Sports Byline, who are the best. And I'm promoting the show on Friday. Yeah. And then I'm like, where the hell do I go? So I'm running back, and we're finally like, no, it's in Caesars. And I talked to Jermaine Lucier, who helped me out, and I went to Caesars, and I check in, nicest people ever, the people with the press. And so I get it, and there's like a half an hour left of the Warner Brothers panel. So I don't do it. And I was like, it's fine. So this is the difference between me today and me at 30. So I used to go. My buddy, who has since passed away, was a booker at these clubs, and he would fly myself out. And when I was working at Warner Brothers, like I was there all the time.
Yeah,
like sometimes weekly, right, in Vegas, and comped and all that. It was amazing. And I wouldn't go to sleep until 4 a.m. And I had no money, and I would leave with no money because I would find a way to be more in debt from gambling, and the way you should be in Vegas. This was the most boring Vegas trip.
Wow.
That I ever had.
Wow.
And I loved it.
Wow.
I'll tell you what.
Adulthood.
Yeah, exactly. So I get there, and everybody's like, oh, who's drinking? Who's doing this and this? I found a little restaurant on the Strip, and I had a brown rice salmon bowl with a beer, and I enjoyed myself in the sun. And then I waited. I watched the Flash trailer. I did my reaction to it, and then it got uploaded, and then I went to the screening really, really early, hung out with Juju.
Yeah.
Watched the screening. Then I had dinner with Jeff Snyder after. Okay. And then after that, people are texting me, are you coming out to gamble? Are you drinking? I was like, nope. I walked to Planet Hollywood, saw somebody in a G-string that shouldn't have been in one, and then I went to sleep at 10:45 and got on the plane. It was wonderful.
Enjoyed myself in the sun as the single most adult man in Vegas.
He said that. I was like, I don't know if he's more old man or cat, because he was just like, I found a sunspot and I just
tucked in and had my salmon in the sun like a cat.
Do you want to come play with us?
No, get lost. 100%. When I want to, and I had no regrets because I knew. Here's what I knew, because when I got home Wednesday morning, I knew that my day was gonna continue.
Yeah,
and I knew that there are other things happening, and I need to be on it. So like,
I ran into Jeff Snyder after I saw you at that bar.
That's
when?
I ran into him on Saturday at a bar, and then like as soon as he left, not 5 minutes after I saw you leave, Jeff came in. I was like, it's a rotating schmo door. And I never see anybody out.
That was a depressing night out, just real quick, just because like again, since I have to balance wherever I go, I don't drink unless I bring the wheelchair, because if I'm drunk and I fall, that's a wrap, bro. I can't break the other leg.
You can't do it. No. Well, you can. You just don't want to.
It's a choice. But yeah, I never see Jeff out. How's he doing?
He's doing good. And he had, and I guess we can kind of go into what we can talk about with the Flash. You know, it's like his tweet was he's hilarious on his.
I saw his tweet. Yeah.
He just basically said, "What's going on with this? Everybody loved this movie. Everybody." He's like, "Nobody had any of the issues." And he told me, like, again, without getting spoilers, we talked about a lot of his issues were legit, and I understand where he was coming from. Some of the issues too. I didn't agree with everything that he was saying, but there was one particular thing, again, I can't dive into because of spoilers, that he had a major issue with that I pushed back significantly, because I think that he probably would disagree, but I think he missed what it really was about. And what I will say is this, inside of my social reaction, the same thing that I said, the movie is very well paced. It to me is one of the best DCEU movies. I think it's hyperbole that it's one of the best superhero movies of all time, and I think it's to me it does not touch the Nolan trilogy at all. But it's a very good movie. I think that we're for this conversation, we're just talking about performances inside of what The people inside, nothing outside of performances in movies. Ezra Miller inside of this performance is really, really good in the performance. You guys know from the trailer, he plays 2 roles. What I think he does that I think Zach Levi did terribly was that he plays an 18-year-old convincingly.
Hey man, you'd be proud of me. I watched your review.
Oh, thanks.
So I knew you were going to say that. I was like, so you're just going to repeat yourself?
100%.
Social. That's what you're allowed to do right now.
Yeah,
Embargo.
That's the only thing I can say right now. Yeah. But inside of that stuff though, like what I will say is that when I was looking at it, I didn't know if I was annoyed, and I was annoyed by Ezra Miller's performance in part of it, but you're supposed to be.
I found there's less spoilers than I feared because of the embargo, and they've actually done a good job. I've muted enough words that I haven't seen any, but it's been really frustrating knowing the timing when this comes out is going to be really messy for WB because it's going to be 2 waves of hype, and I really hope I want this to do well, so I'm hoping there's another wave of push of this. So I hope they start doing press screenings like a week out, because right now it's like an ebb and flow situation.
This was an industry.
Well, there was a couple spoilers that I was able to glean out of context of other people complaining, and I'm hoping there's a wave of press where we can all just like experience the movie to talk about it again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, once you get the actual all media screenings.
And they'll be coming. It's just like I want that way, because right now it's just I feel like I have to avoid talking about it as opposed to like being excited about people seeing it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's also
engage.
I get it, and it's also that week that it comes out. It's only game in town because there's nothing really coming out that week that's gonna. And then Indiana Jones doesn't come out for another 2 weeks after.
Because May's crazy. Like
May's stacked.
Guardians is going right into Little Mermaid and one other one. Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
is
Little
the week
Mermaid's
after.
at the end.
Yeah,
Little Mermaid's at the end of the month.
So Guardians 2 weeks.
Here's my question, because I was talking to Kristian about this as we left the screening, which she loved it at this point.
Okay.
It's been kind of like pulling teeth to get her to watch the MCU, and it's not because she's like, no, they're good movies.
There's so many of them.
There's a lot, which can be overwhelming, and she's not a huge action person.
Yeah.
So she really, really loved this trilogy. If Chris Pratt doesn't do anything wrong, he would be doing correctly what Jonathan Majors unfortunately didn't pan out based off of the idea where he did Ant-Man, which even though Ant-Man didn't do exactly what we wanted, it was still #1 for like at least a week or two. And then Creed came out right after, right? So it's the same thing where Super Mario hit $1 billion and it's still rolling. And then this is about to drop, and so he's literally just playing against himself again, which is crazy. If this goes
and he's not even necessarily even playing against himself as much anymore because of two reasons, right? The first is that by the time this does hit the theater, Mario will be like 4 or 5 weeks in the theater.
So
And the other thing is, this movie is not for anyone under 10 years old. It really is not.
It's pretty violent,
and dark at times. Like even like my. And a lot of people were tearing up, but my daughter was sobbing through a bunch of different times. She's 11, right?
Yeah.
But she was able to handle it. But she's just, but still,
some 11-year-olds might not. It's intense.
It's intense. So it doesn't compete against Mario because
that's what's great.
I took my kids to see Mario, and my 5-year-old and my 11-year-old were like, there was one little thing they got scared of. It was the most adorable thing ever. They started hugging each other in the middle of it, right? So,
but I love that it's Universal into Disney, and it's going to be Pratt into Pratt, and then it goes from Disney into Universal again, and it's Vin to Vin. So it's going to be Pratt to Billy's, and then I think Fast might make a lot of money.
So that's my question. Do you think Guardians will hit $1 billion?
Yes. After seeing the movie,
100%.
I do.
It's really good in that regard, but I'm saying because of knowing how stacked things are about to be, do you
it's
think
got 2 weeks? It'll hit
anything? You think it'll hit $1 billion in 2 weeks?
No. I think it'll hit 6, and then it'll roll into $1 billion.
Yeah, because the thing is, I think that this movie is going to play internationally really, really well.
Yeah.
And I think because it's a perfect blend of spectacle and emotion and character, and it does everything that movies I wish would do more of.
I'm traveling on Thursday, and I'm trying to figure out a way to see it before I leave again. And I have not fought to see a movie a second time in a while. I usually if it works out, whatever. But I'm like lobbying to find time.
When do you leave Thursday?
I'm supposed to leave at 5 a.m. So I'm hoping there's like a Wednesday screening.
The fan early access IMAX stuff is on Wednesday the 3rd. So you could, but I don't know if those.
But that'd be rough. But yeah, but that's how much I loved it, and I think there'll be repeat viewings on this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I want to see it again, and I haven't said that about a Marvel movie in a while. And the other thing that people were saying about this movie, oh, Marvel's back. Be careful.
Like I said, it's the eye of the hurricane.
Yeah. Well, be careful with saying that though, because I'm not telling you that they're not, but this is very different for a lot of different reasons. Number one, James Gunn. wrote the movie, directed the movie. He's done. Number 2, old school characters from Phase 1, 2, and 3 that stayed true, unlike Thor, stayed true to themselves all the way through, delivered, closed out. Those are 2. The third is it doesn't connect to the overall MCU Phase 5 and 6 really. Maybe a little, but not really. This is a closed story. So they need a movie that connects to all that stuff, the stuff they're trying to set up to hit, and that's going to probably be
The Marvels is the next Phase 5 film.
I'll save it for the spoiler. I think there is one connective tissue here, and I'll save it for the spoiler review. But overall, I agree with you, and I realized it after I wrote the tweet. As I was like, I think I wrote Marvel is writing the ship on my tweet, but you're right. This is very isolated.
Yeah.
And so. It's good, but I think it's what Coy said the last time we were doing this digitally was that the Marvels is the true test.
Yeah.
Can they truly figure this out, or is this?
Well, it's like having someone on your team, and you're like, okay, well, this guy's been hitting home runs for us. Let's hope he hits a home run. You can still hit a home run and lose a game.
And that's what I'm wondering if Captain America is going to be, because Captain America is the first one after this, redistribution of time and power.
Right.
So I'm wondering if the Marvels has enough time to restructure for the new tone they're trying to build. Or if we're going to watch the Marvels, I think it looks good. But if we're going to watch the Marvels and go, okay, are we waiting on Captain America to see what the new Phase 5 is? Because that's got, the benefit of the post-COVID timing. It's got the new visual effects standards. It has, the writer's strikes are going to make something interesting very soon. But it's going to be, what's ironic is Falcon Winter Soldier was the first big old casualty in the writers' team because of COVID, because they wrote down pandemic stuff. There was a whole vaccine storyline. If the next thing that gets hit is Cap again, but with the writer's strike.
And that was something I was actually just reading about the other day, is because you always think about TV getting hurt during the writer's strike, but obviously movies are not being written either. So, like, for example, Quantum of Solace, there was a thread I read on Twitter about it, about how they finished their shooting script, but they were not allowed to make any adjustments. So you couldn't go back and then tweak things that didn't work.
I know.
And that actually is pretty scary.
It's
for
true.
Disney.
Well, outside of the writer's strike, though, which is, it's hard to say that, but outside of the writer's strike, but going back to what you said, Coy, about, well, do they just kind of let it stay where the Marvels is? They shouldn't, and I'll tell you why. They should show us what it's going to be, how it's going to pertain, how if they have a new tone, then find a way to do reshoots and make it fit the new tone. Because, look, the movie could be awesome. It could be amazing. But if it has that same type of problem that the other movies have had and they know it,
Now's the time.
Now is the time, especially after you're going to be in good graces with everybody again after Guardians 3 hits.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, now tell me your story, because this doesn't tell me, Guardians 3 doesn't tell me MCU story. It tells me Guardian story, and it does Guardian story very well, but it doesn't tell me MCU story. And to tell you what, I didn't want them to tell me MCU story for this one. I wanted to close to the Guardian story. I got it. Now I want to see what's the MCU story inside of. I still want to know the Marvel story, but what's the MCU story now? Because you set it up, we don't know what the hell's going to happen now with Kang.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of retooling to do.
And they've got November.
Yeah. November's when it comes out.
Which is time, but it depends. It truly depends if they're still doing any sort of reshoots or retooling. Again, this strike is coming any day now.
Right.
So you got to hope that whatever they plan on shooting going forward, that they have ironed that out so that you can get that done in the next month or two. Let the visual effects team finish it off for November, because, again, after, it looks like maybe this week, next week, whatever, next week or the week after that, that's it.
Yeah,
that's a wrap.
Right.
And the forecast for this is we're in for another long haul. It could be another 3-month or longer strike, man.
Yeah,
So,
was the last one in 2007?
2007.
It was 2007.
I thought it was 8.
No, I can tell you why it was definitely 2007, because I was in 2007, late 2008. You're right.
Yes.
You're right. It was you're right.
Started.
You're absolutely right.
Started
it was
into February.
Yes, it started in 2007, went into 2008, because that's when I left Silver to write my pilot, and then we were taking all these meetings beforehand, and then the writer's strike hit, and that was the end of it. So yes, so
Wow,
it was,
wild.
but we shot it in 2007, and it went into 2008. Yes, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
we're in a spot. I think this one's going to last longer, and I think that it's going to be more impactful because of the scale of production, because we're limping already. Like, the industry's limping, and streamers aren't making money because, well, if people are sharing a password, that's not the same money as $20 movie tickets. Right. It was such a, like, the entire HBO Max thing when we were all going like,
Max.
Oh, excuse me. By its Christian name, like Robin, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Max.
Mama named it HBO Max. I'm going to call it HBO Max.
Max. When Max was, well, at the time it was HBO Max, the artist formerly known as. It was having these $200 million movies go to a streamer because of the situation, but it never recovered, and movies had to get canceled for tax stuff. They haven't really recovered, and Netflix doesn't make enough money to have all these things. So I think there's just a bunch of stuff sitting on shelves that is like C quality. We're gonna have to just live on. Right. But what's recovery gonna look like if we're already like, we need to get back in the theater?
Yeah, I know. Well, look, the one thing is, though, remember where we were just a couple of years ago with movie theaters, where we thought we all thought it was going to be. A lot of people did thought movie theaters might be toast, and they're only relying on Marvel movies, but because like Top Gun and Avatar and Mario, like a lot of theaters are coming back, and they're coming back. I mean, it's still got to recover, but it's like,
bro, this is essentially if you had caught COVID, literally, because that's what the theaters did. But then, as you finally are getting over the long COVID symptoms, your ass turn around and caught strep throat.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the timing is so bad.
It's not good. I don't know. I am concerned about the theaters right now.
So you mean basically instead of strep, bronchitis?
Yeah. It's evolved. It's gotten. Yeah. Oh, someone had that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's great. I'll be the theaters and the writer strike.
Double recovery.
Yeah.
Today, the role of theaters will be played by Kristian.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially by the end of it, I sounded like a hut.
You found the buttons.
Anyway, so going back to let's real quick on the Flash, because I kind of jumped away from it fast, and I know Corey kind of deliberately tried to do that, but I'm not gonna.
I'm trying to save you from the socials.
But I'm not. Yeah, I'm staying with it. Where people are going to ask the one question I do definitely want to talk about, and that's Michael Keaton. How's Michael Keaton? 2 thumbs up. You know,
at 70. He's almost 70, right?
Yeah, and Sasha Calle is Supergirl, and I mean, so it definitely lives up to the hype of being a really good movie. There's no doubt about it. I think people. I saw so many tweets going, "This is the best superhero movie of all time." I think that's crazy. I don't think it's any, and I think there's. I mean, I've got to see both The Flash and Guardians. I think Guardians 3 was a little bit more balanced. But I think The Flash is really freaking good, like really good.
How obviously we know from trailers that Zod's in it. We don't really know who the big bad is in this. How are just the villain sequence in the movie?
Save it for the spoiler conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just genuinely curious, just because, like, to me, that's where I'm starting to define what is a top tier superhero movie. Because, like, even with like Winter Soldier, Alexander Pierce isn't really that great of a villain, but the idea of like the entirety of the government is corrupt.
The villain is the
villain is the system.
What I liked, what I'll tell you this, what I loved about I loved the story. I loved for The Flash. I loved about the story. I loved the themes. I liked what this movie was ultimately really about. That's what I can tell you. That's what I loved about The Flash. I think that what they do really well was, I mean, the emotion in the movie is fantastic. I think more people are going to be buzzing about. Like, it had the big buzz because they put it in CinemaCon. Now people are talking about Guardians, but I think that The Flash is going to have its buzz in it, and it should, because it is. I'd put it up there. I mean, I really like Man of Steel, but I'm telling you, I Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and The Flash, and I would probably put Flash. I have to see it again, but The Flash is up there. It's probably one of the best, if not the best DCEU movie.
I mean, when you consider that Wonder Woman is phenomenal, but I rewatched it again recently, it really does have an Act 3 problem.
Yeah,
like, and that's what keeps it from making that.
I really like the
top.
I really like the ending of The Flash, but that's we'll keep it with that. The other thing that they showed that I didn't see, because it was at the Warner Brothers thing that I missed, was like some Aquaman footage. I don't know how that one's going to be. Very curious, because you have this DCEU movie. That's like someone had said I saw someone say, well, this is a great ending to the Snyderverse thing. I'm like, well, they still got another Snyderverse movie coming out. It comes out in November or December.
Such a weird scheduling thing.
It's weird. So how was the buzz on that? Was there any buzz on
Aquaman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was a movie. Technically,
that's what people are saying for the song.
That's what I heard. That's
people
what
that have actually seen the movie.
That people that have like that have seen it have seen the movie, like the screenings. Movie, okay. They were like, "It's a movie."
Okay, so it's not getting.
I'm more excited for Wonka, which is out. Its competition. Wonka, man, Paddington director.
When I got to CinemaCon, I cannot tell you how many times I heard the same thing from various people. Was not excited about that movie. Now one of my most highly anticipated movies.
Wow, it's Chalamet, right?
Yeah, and it's like a prequel to
It's the
Gene
director
Wilder.
of Paddington.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
all it made my top 5 most anticipated of the year because the director has he's made such beautiful art twice. I
Apparently,
believe
the
him.
trailer is just next level. Like, so Juju was telling me how great it
Yeah,
was. Campy was raving about it. People were raving about this trailer. Like, and people who just were like, well, I didn't care about Wonka.
Yeah.
And people are like, and then Dune, obviously, which is another one I really want to see.
So excited for Dune.
Barbie, the trailer, apparently people were really pumped about. So, but anyway,
It's a good year for movies. Like I
It
know,
really
I know
is.
we thought the year would start a little sooner with hype, but now that we're rolling,
Yeah, it's summer season, man, and this is it. And Guardians kicks us into the summer movie season. I want to do this John Stewart list, and then we'll call it a day because we got other things we got to do and get ready for tonight. So, all right, so comicbookmovie.com really does these great lists, and they did one for Batman, they did one for Green Lantern for Hal Jordan. And even though I think we like the Batman list a little bit better, they gave us enough of a list that we can say whether we agree with it, if there's anybody else that we thought. But I really like what they do over there at comicbookmovie.com. And here's what they do. This is their Lanterns, 7 actors who could play Green Lantern John Stewart in the new DCU. All right, let's start with their first one, and that's Trevante Rhodes. So Trevante Rhodes was in Moonlight, United States versus Billie Holiday. I love them in both of those. I don't remember Bird Box. That was a Sandra Bullock one. And he played Mike Tyson. Now, I didn't like that series, but that wasn't really because of him. I think he's a really good actor. So let's talk about Trevante Rhodes here. You know, Trevante Rhodes is like 32 years old. Do we think that Trevante Rhodes is good kiss? So tell me, Winston, first of all, the character of John Stewart, and do you think that he fits the bill?
Absolutely. I mean, John Stewart he's a former Marine. He's very methodical. He's very much like a soldier. And so I just
can see that for him.
I just see, I'm thinking of him in Moonlight, and I'm just thinking about, like, even though that he wasn't playing like a soldier in that, there was something just very straight to the point, methodical about it, because he was playing the adult version of the
kid,
character, right? Yeah. So I get that vibe from him, and I think that he would do exceptionally well as John Stewart. I think it's a good casting choice.
I think leadership is really important to John Stewart. For me, when I think of John Stewart, I think of the ability to get people to see eye to eye and move them forward, and that definitely plays with how I perceive him. And that's a specific attribute that's hard to teach. There's an inherent leadership quality. I'm into this one.
All right, the next one that they suggest is John David Washington. Now, obviously, John David Washington, one of the, so far, probably out of the two, the more notable one at the moment. Whether it's Tenet, Ballers, Amsterdam, that piss box, and Black Klansman, he's great. He's up and coming. He's 38, and he is a little older, but that's nothing that would keep him out of the role. And he's a really great actor. So, I mean, I think, and it's also notable, but not like, because he's not ultra famous yet.
You want that middle, like I was talking about Billy Magnuson. You want that person that you recognize, but you want to blow up with you.
You know who he is. You're aware.
Yeah,
but he's not like he's not like his dad yet.
Right.
He's got the chops, and he's a really good actor.
He's my number one pick. I doubt anyone above him is going to be higher for me. I've wanted him in this role since Tenet.
Yeah, I think this is a good choice. If they could lock him down for it, I think it's a fantastic choice. The question is, does he want to do TV?
Yeah,
that's a question. But now, TV money is just as good as
he also
as movie money, so.
This is circling back to HBO, isn't it? Because he did Ballers with HBO.
Well, that's what I mean, though. But now he's starting to kind of move,
which is fine. But I think about the other people that are with HBO that are still doing movies. I think about Westworld. I think about Issa Rae. I think about what I'm saying.
There's tons. There's tons of people doing TV now. It's not the way that it was 5-10 years ago, or 10 years ago.
Arguably, you get to do more character work.
Yeah, and there's money that's in it. I was just curious. You always ask that question. Yeah.
I think the other element, the way you pitch it to him, is the same thing that's about to happen. Say with Anthony Mackie, is sure, it's going to start off as a TV show, but you're talking about a collective universe. Right. What's to say that he, as a Green Lantern, won't show up in a Justice League movie or a whatever?
That's exactly
movie
right.
And a video game and a cartoon.
That's right. That's right. All right. So then now the next one, Michael B. Jordan is the next one. Now, for me, I don't love the choice, and it's got nothing to do with Michael B. Jordan. I love Michael B. Jordan. I think Michael B. Jordan is. I think he's doing a lot right now, and he is way more famous than the previous two. Almost so that it starts to become a distraction in a character like this, to where you see Michael B. Jordan, and plus the fact he's already played Killmonger inside of it. Now there are other people who have switched back and forth with DC and Marvel, and that's fine. But I think that at the level he's at right now, and it also starts to me, and Winston, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well too. Then it starts to go into, why do we just keep casting Michael B. Jordan for everything when you have all these other actors out there that are so good? Yeah, that have, it's like, well, we only like this one guy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and you know, he was in Without Remorse, and he did a really good job as like a military man, like spy and all that. Yeah. So there is something specific though. Coy and I were actually talking about this on the ride over here, that I can think of like maybe 3 actors off the top of my head that truly get outside of themselves. Oh, yeah. You can't truly escape. Like Denzel is phenomenal, Meryl Streep is phenomenal. They don't necessarily get outside of being Meryl Streep, Denzel Washington, Viola Davis, etc. Those exceptions are like Daniel Day-Lewis, Joaquin Phoenix, and then the late great Heath Ledger as the Joker. Those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that they are truly a blank slate.
Right.
I don't see that with him, and there is more of a, it's not that John Stewart isn't friendly, but John Stewart really is just like a Marine, very like by the book.
But I think Michael B. Jordan could get there. I mean, he did it with Killmonger. He did it with Creed in the beginning.
Yes.
But but I just said 2 things that you don't, he's already done it.
Yes.
He's done it. And it's like,
John Stewart's also just not, how do I put this? When you compare him to Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, when you compare him to hang out with Barry or anything else like that, he's not the charismatic one.
And you want that dichotomy in a show that's a duo show.
Right.
So my only issue with Michael B. Jordan here is that I want to make sure the duality of Hal and he are really different.
Right.
And honestly, I'd cast him as a Hal Jordan before I'd cast him as a...
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on, because we have a couple more to do. But we're all in unison that we, as much as we love Michael B. Jordan, just don't think he's right for this.
Let me also clarify really quickly, because people are going to be like, "What, you're saying that John David Washington is not?" No, I'm not saying that he's not. I'm saying Michael B. Jordan has this very like, hey, like he's just very friendly like that. And again, not saying that John David Washington and the other people aren't, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
right?
what you mean. It's like, it's he's got a very, I mean, they're all likable, but he's got something. I know exactly. You know, he's got a lot of charm.
It's very Will Smithian.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, the next one, Leslie Odom Jr. And Odom Jr. is a powerhouse talent who worked in Hamilton, One Night in Miami, and he was in Red Tails. So the reason I like this particular choice also is the same reason that I like the number 1 and 2. Great actor, not super well known. You can learn him inside of this particular role, introduce him to new audiences, show off his talent. So far, I like all the choices, because even the Michael B. Jordan choices, they're choosing great actors. I just think for notoriety, 1, 2, and 4, I like a lot, Coy.
He's definitely on that verge of breakout. Everyone household name, and I think that's what you should cast for a long form show. I think it's what you should cast for John Stewart. So I'm definitely there, and I also think that every time I've seen him, he's had enough of that, like your eyes drawn to him even when he's quiet, and you need an element of quiet stoicism that still draws you, and I think he's got that.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's good. He's not my top pick, but I would not hate this decision.
So far, I mean, look, so far I like that. I love their Batman list. Didn't love the Hal Jordan list.
Agreed.
Love this list so far.
Yeah, they got me back.
Yeah, they got me back. All right, here's the next one. Regé-Jean Page is the next one. So Bridgerton. Oh, and he was just in Dungeons and Dragons. That's where I saw him in. So did you see Dungeons and Dragons?
I haven't. I didn't get a chance to. It was right around when
I loved it. I loved it. He was really good in Dungeons and Dragons.
Big surprise
for what he was playing. He was good. I will go with what Winston just said, though, with Michael B. Jordan.
Exactly.
That from what you guys are explaining for John Stewart, I don't know if that's the case. The role, and it's not to say that he can't play that role, but what I saw him in Dungeons and Dragons,
and what I know of him in Bridgerton, it doesn't feel like a good fit. It feels, again, this is a situation where like I could see like Michael B. Jordan or Regé-Jean Page, like maybe doing a Black Lightning if they decide to bring him to the big screen instead of or
10 years ago, it would have been great Static.
But a great static. For both of them, even a Martian Manhunter.
Sure.
Like Regina Jean Page, especially giving you a kind of like that stoic ability to kind of be quiet but still have that friendly air. That's what I read off of John
exactly how he is in
Jones.
Dungeons. Like, so in Dungeons, the issue is that he's supposed to be very stiff, but he's so charming. Not an issue. He's so charming that even when the line delivery is supposed to be stiff, like you're drawn to him.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work for John Stewart.
You know, but again, you know,
Acting.
as an actor, you want to see maybe can he pull that off. I just don't know. I don't know the character well enough, but I wouldn't be like, oh, terrible casting. I said let's see what he can do.
Anybody on this list, I would be fine with. I have so many other people that I would name before him or Michael B. Jordan.
Right. All right. So let's see. Next one then. Winston Duke. Now here's my biggest issue is even there's the picture. The picture is he's just so synonymous now with Black Panther. Does that mean that he can't pull off this character? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But I just think that it goes back to the same conversation I had with Michael B. Jordan. Now, Winston Duke is not as big of a name as Michael B. Jordan, but he's very recognizable inside the comic book fan. And my same question would be like, let's find someone else and give someone else a shot who hasn't been in this before. And I would like to see either the last 3 out of the 5, but just people who these are 2 Black Panther actors. Let's find someone else.
I disagree in the sense that I am ready for Winston Duke to take that leading man step.
Yeah.
And that's what this would do.
Yeah.
Yes, he's well known because of M'Baku and everything like that, and he's done other projects, but he hasn't hit that leading man spot yet. And when you're talking about how big he is and imposing, I know John Stewart isn't necessarily like a big dude, but he is with his personality.
Yeah.
Winston Duke kind of gives that off both physically and with his acting. I think it would be a really interesting take to see him do it, because the only other time we got to see him lead was Us, and that was really still more
He was great in that though.
Lupita.
Yeah.
He was great in it, but that was really more Lupita's lead than him.
Right.
So
He shined in the scenes that he was in, but it wasn't his movie. What did you?
I think this one actually works for me because of both Us and M'Baku, because I see the leadership, I see the charisma that is also kind of reserved. Like, I see John Stewart as very reserved. I can also see him, I still have Glenn Powell as my Hal Jordan. I can see him playing off a Glenn Powell type really well, really interestingly. So I like this one, and also his size would make it so the Hal Jordan dynamic, if he was like a regular size guy, like a 6 foot, like Winston Duke's huge. He's like
huge.
6'7".
Yeah.
So you could cast that all-American Hal Jordan, like regular size big guy, and M'Baku could still be like,
Or if you're not that, I would love him as a, oh my God, what is his name?
Kilowog.
Thank you.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think so too.
And then the last one, John Boyega. Now, I'm going to go against everything I just said. Well, because John Boyega is a very well-known name, and people know who he is. But I think similar to where he hasn't, I think he wasn't given the opportunity to shine, even though he was in a big blockbuster franchise in Star Wars. His character, he was done dirty, like really dirty, because his character had this particular arc that was going in 7, was destroyed in 8, and then they tried to make up for it in 9, and it made no sense. So he's a fantastic actor who has kind of been bitten by and kind of stung by the system, and I'd like to see him bring that into this type of character.
Anytime there's a redemption for Boyega arc, I am team that.
Right.
Like, every time I hear him being cast, rumored, anything, I think that it'd be also great to see him get to do long form, because it is a show. I'd love to see Boyega get to sink his teeth into an arc that he gets to see it land. So I think he's got the stoicism. We've definitely seen him Pacific Rim. I think he's got the leadership quality. I think in real life, we've seen him lead. Like, I love his Twitter. I love his presence. I love
Gusto.
that he's got a thing. And I think Boyega maybe my number 1.
Yeah, he's got the stoicism, but there is I can't shake it from Attack the Block and from Star Wars. There is a playful energy to him that I feel like
playful and Attack the Block.
He was, in the sense that, like, with his crew, like, obviously when it's time to go fight,
he was a straight up gangster.
I understand that, but like with his crew, there was this level of just like camaraderie and all that stuff. I'm not saying that John Stewart doesn't do that. I'm just saying that there are other characters that he might fit a little bit better. I'm not saying
He'd
he
be a
could.
good cyborg.
Right.
He would be a great cyborg.
That playfulness, the
He would
boyishness,
be
but still stern.
Great cyborg.
I think I just changed John David Washington, and then now he's my cyborg.
Either way, look, I will say this. I think this list that they made was phenomenal. I think it was a phenomenal list. I'd be okay with every one of these actors that is on their cast.
missing one for me, and I get it because he's a little bit older, but it just depends on how long you are trying to subscribe John Stewart to do this, and if you would want to do it. I say Sterling K. Brown.
How old is he? Let me see.
In his 40s.
42.
Hey Siri, how old is Sterling K. Brown?
Sterling K. Brown is 47 years old.
Whoa, I thought he was 42.
He looks good.
He looks real good.
Black don't crack.
Yeah.
47.
I don't know, man.
That I take it back.
Yeah.
I thought he was like 42. I had no idea he was up there.
Damn,
because he looks incredible for his age.
But it goes. Look, if it's just for a TV miniseries, okay.
But I
if it's a
can't
10-year plan.
imagine
it's a 10-year
that the Green Lanterns are going to be regulated just to this TV.
You got to
show.
cast.
Also, we finally get
mid-30s.
John Stewart, and it's like one and done. Like, we've waited way too long for that character.
Right. So, anyway, look, that's. I think that's the show here for us today. Got a lot done with Guardians and in general, covered a little DC stuff, and we got a lot to talk about. Next week, I'm going to be by my lonesome and covering the stories, or maybe even do a Zoom with Winston because Coy's out of town. So maybe not necessarily on lonesome. Maybe it's just us doing a StreamYard together. But make sure you're there tonight, guys. If you're able to be there, then be there. Make sure that you're there. Head on over to Flappers tonight. If you can see it on the live stream, then see it on the live stream, man. Stand-up comedy, big thing. We're going to be there. We're going to have some fun, and we want you to join us. So make sure you get your tickets. If you haven't, check this out on Spotify. We're on video on Spotify, so help us out over there. Show a little class, will you? Hit that button. What do you mean? I don't have class if I don't hit the button? I never said that. I just said you're showing a little bit more if you do. So for myself, you know where to find me. Coy Jandreau, where can the kids find you?
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Coy Jandreau, and Friday night tonight as we record in Burbank at Flappers. I want to see. I'm so excited.
Winston, where can they find you? Winston A. Marshall.
Hobbling around town. No, but real
doing
talk.
some sit-down comedy
Some
tonight.
sit-down comedy tonight. Yeah, at the Swaggy Blurred, man. I've had to take a step back on a lot of stuff, so I've been doing a lot of just like writing and whatnot. But now that the gig that I've been working from home is slowing down, I'll be streaming almost every day. So just follow me on the socials. I'll let you know when I'm live and come say what's up.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today on the show. Once again, for myself, Winston, and Coy, we appreciate you. Take us out, please, Mr. Wicked Art.